Welcome back on the show. It is time for our story time where we have the opportunity to talk with one of the KSHSAA Covered staff writers, Brent Maycock, joining us here, and just a wealth of knowledge, just the coverage that you guys provide. You can check it out at KSHSAAcovered.com. All the great stories, free to read for anybody there. Great stuff. So, like, for you guys, keeping up with everything is just incredible. But for you, like the midseason tournaments, what was the mad rush like for you, and how much did you enjoy it?
Well, it definitely was a mad rush. It was actually like my first week back out covering stuff after having knee replacement surgery. So it was kind of getting back into it, real quick like there with that. But the weather, you always kind of run into, are we going to have to deal with weather? And some years we escape it, and some years we get smacked right in the face with it. And that was certainly the case this year with the bad weather moving in late Friday night, all day Saturday. Really created a lot of havoc on our already crazy week. It's already a week where so many midseason tournaments are going on. It's the big week for midseason tournaments. There's some going on the week after here and there. A lot more girls tournaments that week, but the bulk of the midseason tournaments are that one week. And when the weather moves in, it really kind of messes everything up. So you kind of get a schedule laid out. Okay, I'm going to go try to hit this tournament this day and this tournament this day, and then you just crumple up that paper, throw it in the trash, and fly by the seat of your pants a little bit. And so that's kind of what I had to do a little bit.
Well, okay,
last week for sure.
What did stand out to you? I mean, whether it was, I know there were a lot of good wrestling tournaments, in month of January as well. But for basketball, wrestling, like what stood out to you with some of those midseason tournaments?
In basketball, I got a chance to go up to the Twin Valley League tournament, and that's always such a great tournament. I mean, the best small school league in the state, as far as I'm concerned, when you're talking Class 1A, right around that level. And it was just interesting to see. I was curious to watch that Hanover Axtell title game. Those two had really separated themselves in that league as really being kind of the cream of the crop. And Axtell taking a 35-game winning streak into that game, and then Hanover really having a great season, kind of on its comeback a little bit, so to speak. And for about 3 minutes, it was everything you thought it was going to be, and then Hanover just took over and really overwhelmed Axtell in that game. They got Axtell all out of sorts and really clamped down on Colin Shaughnessy, who had just a monster couple of weeks leading into that tournament. And so, it was a big win for Hanover. They win the game 75-48. And just the manner in which they went out and dominated a very good Axtell team that I think is going to be, one of the teams at the end of the season that you're looking at as challenging for the state title again after winning it last year. And for Hanover to really go out and dominate that game was a pretty big statement maker.
What about Silver Lake girls? I mean, they just continue to. I mean, each year they're really, really good, but it just seems like every sport, like that group of girls, they're on something right now.
Yeah, they are. They really are. And that team that they had 2 years ago that went undefeated and won the Class 3A state championship team. That team was dominant. They won every game that year by double digits, except for the state championship game when they beat Heston by 5 or 6, I believe it was. But almost half of their wins, and maybe even more than half of their wins that year, were 30-point wins. And when I talked to Kyle Porter after Silver Lake went down and just dominated a really good Burlington tournament this year, there were some highly ranked teams in that tournament. When you talk about Burlington, host Burlington, they were ranked in Class 3A. Girard, having almost all of its team back from state last year, ranked high in 3A. Ottawa and Independence both ranked pretty high in Class 4A. And Silver Lake just went down there and completely dominated. They beat Girard by 27. They beat Burlington by 25. And when I talked to Coach Porter after that game, he said, this might be my most connected team. And when he says that, knowing what he had 2 years ago, that's pretty impressive that this group is the way it is. They may not have that real strong inside post player like Mackenzie McDaniel was, where you can kind of just get her the ball and let her go. But the one thing that they've had over the last 4 years is Kaylin Haney running the point guard. And you want to talk about just the definition of a point guard. I mean, she gets the team in the office. She keys their defense. She gets to the free throw line. She facilitates for her other teammates. Just everything you want in a high school girls point guard. I mean, I'm sure Kyle would love to clone her and have her for 4 more years or whatever it might be. I might have to petition the Acacia, like the NCAA, all these extra years getting added in. But she just kind of makes that team go, and she's kind of been the common thread for Silver Lake's run of success here lately in basketball.
Well, I know these midseason tournaments have been around for a really long time, but it almost feels like now there's more of a focus, Brent, where like it's almost like everyone's trying to outdo each other, and it's such a good thing for fans and spectators because trying to get really talented teams all together. I don't know if that was always the focus. It was just kind of like, yeah, we put together a tournament, we got this team, but now it's just like this huge focus to have this really good competition, and man, it makes it great for the fans.
Yeah, it is. You have the league tournaments, and there's a place for those too. A lot of these schools have their league tournaments, and those are cool. But you have the Dodge City Tournament of Champions, which years ago, even, I mean, it was great. They would kind of go out and try to find maybe like the best team in Class 3A and bring them up, and it almost kind of had that Grand State tournament feel to it. And then McPherson's always had a really strong tournament, pulling teams from across the state. Adolph Rupp tournament has been going on forever, and some different tournaments. And it is cool seeing these tournaments that really kind of stretch the state, and it's fun. You bring these teams from all across the state that usually don't get a chance to see each other, and you put them in this setting. Colby Orange and Black's another one like that, where you bring in Wellington from down by Wichita. I know Latham North has played out in that tournament in the past. You get some teams from Colorado, Nebraska. So I love seeing those kind of tournaments. Those are super cool tournaments where you just have teams from all over really looking to test themselves against some of the best that's out there. And it'll be interesting to see how these midseason tournaments continue with with the expansion of 23 games. I think teams maybe will start going away from some of these midseason tournaments. You might see more tournaments pop up early in the season in December, and maybe have some of these showcase tournaments like Rock Creek had one this year that brought in like Hayes and Eudora, Rock Creek, Silver Lake, Heston, brought in some very high quality teams. So you might see some of the shift a little bit away from these midseason tournaments, but I love the midseason tournaments where you get teams from all over the place. I remember when I first started out in journalism, I was down in Emporia, and we'd go out to that McPherson tournament every year, and Carol Swenson was running it, and he had a media guide there, and you can see the history of the players that had played in that tournament and some of the teams that were there. And I mean, that tournament always is going to be one that just kind of has a spot right there. It's just so cool seeing tournaments like that.
I'll put you on the spot. Best media friendly tournament out there. Do you have one that rises to the top? Like, because hospitality room is up there too, obviously. So,
well, hospitality room, Nemaha Central Thunder Classic's hard to beat.
Okay.
They bring in some top notch food. I remember going up there years ago and had some of the best chicken and noodles I've ever had in my life up there, and it was delicious. This year I went up there. The night I did go up there this year for semifinal night, they had a pulled pork spread out there. So nice. Nemaha Central Thunder Classic for hospitality rooms, right there. But like back in the day, like I said, McPherson, I still think they do a great job down there. I just haven't been down there in years. But I mean, you literally had a media guy that had every record that you could possibly think of for the tournament, all the history of the tournament, and that's Carol Swenson to a T. I mean, he put his imprint on that, and that's who he is. I mean, he's a state historian. You obviously know from track everything he does and putting together the honor roll and knowing all the history there. So it's been a while since I've been down there, but back in the day, you couldn't beat the media experience in terms of just having everything you could possibly want to know about the tournament right at your fingertips with the McPherson Invitational.
Great experiences. Hey, Brent, appreciate it, and take it easy on that leg, okay?
Oh, will do.
All right, that's Brent Maycock, one of the staff writers for KSHSAA Covered. That'll do it for Storytime.